My name is David.
And my name is Jason.
And this is Discern Realities, a Dungeon World podcast. Well, listeners, we're going to cut some of our segments this week to try and, dare I say it, have a longer, extended AP segment. Last time we did this, it didn't go so great, so we're going to hope that it goes a lot better this time.
Hopefully Domenico doesn't die.
Don't even say that. Don't even say that.
We shall see. We shall see.
But in any case, let's go ahead and move right into our first segment. Our first segment is what happened here recently.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about the death of a character from my Company of the Three Kings living campaign. Rook, the Halfling Thief, was one of the very first members of the company, which was awesome. His player, Aniket, started playing with me right when I first started the company stuff back late last year. And Rook made it all the way to level 9. That's the highest I've ever seen a Dungeon World character go. I've still never had anyone get to 10. But he died facing a demon toad thing called the Fetter of the Depths. It was really sad. Some of the players, actually all the players who were in that session had previous adventures with Rook. One of the players, Tim, went way back with Rook. In fact, when Aniket was getting ready to roll last breath, it was like this really tense moment, and then when it went poorly, it was like anguish. It was like anguish. Yeah.
I adventured with Rook way back when.
You did, yeah.
I'm really sad that he's gone.
Yeah, so it was sad. To Aniket's credit, he was a good sport about it, and he gave Rook a really nice, fine Blackgate send off. He described Rook having visions of all the treasures he didn't manage to steal in life waiting for him beyond the Blackgate, and so he chose to cross the Blackgate in order to go finish the job, right? So yeah, it was pretty good. To me, like, those moments are kind of what Dungeon World's all about. We've talked about how fun the Blackgate can be, even when it's a little, like, sad. One of the things that I thought was really interesting, though, was I've played a bunch of Dungeon World, right? And this is probably, I don't know, probably like the 6th or 7th Rook, the Halfling Thief I've had in a group.
Really?
Because the playbooks only have certain names on them, right? And people tend to just pick one of those names. And a lot of times when I have somebody playing a Halfling Thief, they go for Rook because it sounds cool, right? It's the same reason why I've had a number of Gorm the Barbarians, a number of fighters named Hawk. When you play a lot of Dungeon World, you'll see certain characters reoccur, or at least like name playbook combinations. It's an interesting thing because it feels almost like an archetype, so it's like Rook the Halfling Thief almost stands for something now, because I remember all the Rook the Halfling Thieves I've had in my games, and they were each a little different, like on the edges in terms of their personality, but they were still kind of like, the classic Halfling Thief who's getting into trouble, but who's also very brave and will crawl into tight spaces and, in danger when no one else will. I don't know. I kind of like that. I kind of like this idea of like the Dungeon World characters almost like ascending to sort of archetype status, in a way.
So that should just be the playbook. That should just be the playbook name, the Rook the Halfling Thief playbook.
Rook the Halfling Thief, practically, right? Anyway, I just wanted to share that. It was a bittersweet send off to a character that we had spent a lot of time with.
Well, yeah, I'm still kind of sad about it. I remember seeing the G+ posts when he went down. And I'm not sure that I'm ready to just accept it. Whenever I get back around to the Company of the Three Kings stuff, I may try and raise a party and see if we can find some way to bring him back, because it's Dungeon World and there's always a way to bring him back.
Maybe we'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh man, but it was sad. All right.
Yeah, it was.
Let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. Our next segment is what here is useful or valuable to me.
So, listeners, we are still running our location-based custom move contest for the next couple of weeks until we record episode 23. So, if you have a move you'd like to submit for the contest, paste it into the comments of any of the DR posts on G+. It doesn't matter which one, because I get notified of them whenever something gets posted. So, paste your moves in there or into a comment on the website. And with that in mind, David, you've got the move for this week, right?
I want to read one from Logan Howard. This is the Elder God's Pit.
I remember this one, yeah.
This custom moves comes at the tail end of several dungeon moves. The idea I had was that each level of the dungeon would have a dungeon move that reflected the experience of getting closer to an ancient and infectious evil. All the accumulated results would then culminate in a custom move when the beast from beyond, or whatever hideous creature you're throwing at your players, is encountered face to face. So here's how the different levels of the dungeon will go as you're getting deeper and deeper. On the first level, one of the players is going to get a rash. Then you get deeper, and if somebody has a rash, they can potentially get a boil or multiple boils, depending on if the rash is spread. Then if you get deeper from there, that boil will then split open and look like a pus-encrusted bloodshot eye. Just like the rashes and the boils, they can end up with multiple eyes on their body.
Yum.
Yeah. If you're not licking your lips yet, just wait. Then at the next level of getting deeper into the dungeon, if they have at least one eye, a tear opens up near or below the eye or eyes that they have accumulated. Then at the next deepest level, the torn space near the eye grows a painful pointed tooth or teeth. You can give them more slices or describe how the gash becomes more mouth-like as an additional move. And then when you get to the deepest level, where you're going to encounter the beast or the elder god or whatever, this is where the custom move comes in. When you enter the pit of the elder god, roll plus wisdom. On a 10+, the eyes and mouths attempt to take control of you, but the strength of your inner self is too great for them. Describe how you overcome the threat and what becomes of the grisly features. On a 7 to 9, the eyes and mouths attempt to take control of you, but you are able to resist them for the most part. Describe the argument you have with them next time you act. The GM adds the following move to their list of moves. Have the demon living inside them temporarily take control.
So just to clarify, I think this is how I understand it, and I think this is correct. As you're progressing down the levels, these are moves that you could do as a GM, right? So if a character got a 6-, I could go ahead and give them the rash. Like if they got a 6- on level 1, right? Or presumably on level 1 or level 2. And then maybe later on, I can give them, as the result of a move, a GM move, I can give them the boil, right? That's cool. I'm really into that. I like a lot about this. It stuck out to me when Logan sent it to us because I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. It's really quite unique. It has like a building horror to it, right? Like there's a ramping up tension that I really love. That's something that I do in my games a lot. Like I like to have, I make my Grim Portents have this drumbeat of horror that gets louder and louder, right? Until you get to the final thing. That's great. I think this is really cool. And I think this is a nice, really cool way of handling that. And I think you could play with this move a lot to maybe have whatever happens to the characters as they go deeper, like match the motif of your dungeon a little better, right? So if you were in a dungeon that has like an insect focus or something, you might describe like, their body becoming more insectile or like an insect gradually burrowing out of their skin or something like that, right?
Right.
There's a lot of cool things you can do with it. The only thing I'm going to suggest is that the actual custom move, when you get to where the pit of the Elder God is, that actual custom move is a little weak, in my opinion. Because you've had this great big buildup, and then it kind of feels like that custom move should be just balls out crazy. What do you think?
I would have to agree. I think that all the buildup is not like the 7 to 9 result isn't as terrifying as I would want it to be.
Yeah, I agree. The payoff doesn't match the buildup, which I think is actually a credit to how cool the buildup is. Right?
Yeah, the that's real good. I mean,
yeah.
I can see this going so many different ways. Like you said, like different motifs may lend to different body horrors. But I could see this like for golden opportunities, like just entering the dungeon, you could automatically start giving rations. Right? Yeah, exactly. and then they start rolling. And they start getting these boils or whatever. Or maybe it's just one player that you keep pointing it at.
Ooh,
it's not even the one who rolls it. And they're just getting...
That's some cruel, fucked up shit. I would love that.
Yeah. Right. And they just, if it's the insectile one, their skin's starting to come off. And it's freaking him out because it's just the one of them. And he starts to act strange.
Little maggots start to pour forth from a wound or something, right? Like just stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's just the one of them. And maybe it's not even when they got the roll. You just hold it for later when they're after the fight or whatever's going on, and then all of a sudden this thing happens. They lose their teeth, whatever. Just like this move is such a great idea that I want the move itself to play a little bit stronger, a little bit harder.
Yeah, me too. I want that final custom move to be like hard as fuck. But I'm digging it though. With Logan's permission, maybe you and I, or all three of us, we kind of like fiddle with the actual final custom move part of it, because this is pretty cool. And I think you could rewrite this move too to make it be a little more generic, which I think is what Logan intended, because in the beginning he says, have it match up with whatever the terrible evil thing is you've got going on, right? I think there's a way you could rewrite it to be like a little more generic, that kind of in a way that emphasizes like the level of horror that you should be spooning out to the characters as they go deeper, and then like making that final custom move really sharp. But I dig this a lot. Like this is a really cool, unique thing. I'm into it.
Yeah, this is a great idea. Like I'm very excited for this move, and I'm already thinking of ways that I'm going to incorporate something like this into a dungeon or maybe multiple dungeons, because you could retool it in so many different ways.
Yeah, it's super. Yeah, I'm getting like it's very much like getting my imagination going.
Yeah, but thank you, listener Logan, and we hope that you will get in contact with us so we could maybe see how we could grow on this move.
Yeah, I'd love to fiddle with it. It'd be great.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to our next segment. Our next segment is What is About to Happen.
This is our ongoing comic strip AP featuring the adventures of Domenico Castafiel. And when we last saw Domenico, he had just assassinated, frankly, or murdered, the major domo, Edvard, and fist-sized Maggot with a little tiny human face split out of Edvard's neck, where you had cut his neck, and was crawling up and whispering dark words to you as it tried to crawl onto you. And when we last saw you, said you were going to try to kick it. Is that still what you're doing?
Yeah, that's just kind of a knee-jerk reaction of fist-sized Maggot with a tiny human face. I don't know what to do about it besides just, like, keep it away from me.
While you are watching in horror as this is happening, Paolo, the guy behind the dungeon cell bars, he's just muttering what appears to be nonsense, but like at you, and he's in this like state of ecstasy, like he's happy that this maggot is coming out of Edvard's body, right? And he says, "The transdimensional egg sac is full and ready to be opened. It is gravid with godlings. You must help me, friend. The time is nigh."
Yeah, we're still kicking that maggot thing.
Good. Defy danger strength?
Is it? Or do I just kick it? It's fist-sized.
Well, it could be. This is probably dangerous, right? Because it's a little godling.
Hey, we're doing this right. We're starting with a 4.
All right. You do kick it. Describe kicking it and, in fact, stomping it, killing it. Do whatever you wish.
It's just as easy as you would think it would be to kick a fist-sized maggot. Its tiny little face is dismayed as it flies through the air and hits the wall in a visceral explosion of whatever its innards are.
As you do that, Paolo's mouth is stretched open in an unnatural way, kind of like Iotho's was when he was asleep. It's stretched out, kind of cottonmouthish, and hanging out of his mouth kind of pressed against his tongue is another one of these fist-sized maggots with the little faces, and it's just making these terrible, like, gurgling, hissing noises at you. And you are feeling a little lightheaded. There's like a strange purple miasma of energy of sorts kind of moving between Paolo's mouth and you. Whatever this magic is, you can feel it going straight to your head. What do you do?
So Domenico has a method for dealing with this kind of attack, and it's to distract his mind with other things, so that he doesn't become mesmerized and focused on whatever evil enchantment is trying to glamour him, if that's in fact what's happening here. But that's what he thinks is happening. So Domenico is trying to do this method, and what the method is he speaks to his unseen servant and recounts all of his greatest achievements in ascending order. It can take him as long as 30 minutes, but as long as he maintains that, it's protected him from glamour spells like this before.
I love it. Roll plus int.
11.
Okay, it works. Just give me the on-screen. How do you resist the spell?
So the spell is starting to dazzle Domenico. His eyes are starting to glaze over, and he realizes that's what's happening. So immediately he thinks back to when he first managed to cast Aware Light. He was only a very small child. He was only about 7 years old. He was very proud of himself. That was his first greatest achievement. Then he moves on to his second greatest achievement, where when he was not but 10, he managed to draw a picture with light, as he did for Iotho. And then the list continues on until the spell has no more effect on him.
Nice. Yeah, so you're almost just distracting your mind in a way. That's good.
So what's the creature doing now? Is it still trying to cast this spell on me, or is it stopped?
Well, if you look at it, you'll see that its little tiny eyes have rolled into the back of its head, its little tiny human head, and it's swaying left and swaying right inside Paolo's mouth, as if it's in a bit of a trance, and it's kind of whispering the words of the incantation. As if you hang around there, it could continue to be trouble.
Okay, I'm just going to bring the knife up into the base of Paolo's jaw so that it goes through the bottom of his palate and into the small creature.
Nice. That'll work. Just describe it.
Yeah, I just reach through the bars very quickly and casually and jam this knife up into his brain, so it's probably killing Paolo too.
And then it just dies. And then Paolo slumps to the ground.
Ugh. Blood comes out of his mouth and onto my hand as I let go of the knife.
Indeed. Well, so what are you up to now?
I quickly search Edvard's body for the key that he was talking about.
You find it? And
then I proceed to the door that he seemed to be indicating.
Yeah, go for it. So you step down to the hallway, to the door. It's the vault, but really, truly, it's just a room with a large, heavy iron door with a lock mechanism, right? It's not a it's not like a safe vault, right? It's nothing like that. Nothing so advanced as that. Yeah, and you have the key. What do you do?
I'm going to try and use the key in the lock like I would a normal key in a lock.
Sure. There's a chuk, and the door opens.
I push it open and see what I can see inside.
Inside, there are a number of crates and boxes stacked up, some rolled up rugs, some dusty vases, that kind of thing.
Is it immediately apparent where the sacrificial knife ended up in this?
Do a discern realities. Let's see.
7.
Which question do you want?
What here is useful or valuable to me?
Yeah, in fact, you'll be able to. A very cursory examination will show you the knife. It's not covered in as much dust as everything else. So it's really kind of more of a short sword. It has a blade that's kind of like curved in several places, like a crysknife, sort of. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like kind of a wave, rippling curve. And then a handle that is, upon close inspection, actually appears to be a swarming mass of little tiny maggots all pressed together. That's what it's forged to look like.
Oh, gross.
So yeah, that's the one.
I'm going to take it daintily between thumb and forefinger and put it inside my cloak.
Awesome. Now where do you go?
Now I'm going back the way that I came, and there was a guard that was nearby. I want to get his attention.
Edvard sent the guard back up topside, so you can make it out of the basement area, no problem.
Okay. I'm going to proceed back to Iotho's chambers, presumably where that guard is.
Yeah, and in fact, you find the guard standing outside of his room.
I make myself look very flush, like I've just run very quickly, and I'm gasping as I put my hands against his breasts, and I look up at him. I grab his shirt and I say, "You will not believe the assassin. He has just attacked Edvard through the gates of his cell and then committed suicide. I'm not sure what his plan may be, but there may be others skulking about. You must search quickly and make sure there are no others who may be here to attack Iotho."
Defy danger charisma. See if he buys this.
Oh my god. Snake eyes.
Ouch. You're explaining this to him, and in your haste, you fail to realize that your hands are covered in blood. And the guard steps away, as if he's to say, yes, I'll go right away. And you are making a move to go into the room, and that's when you feel someone grab you from behind. With the guard grabs you with his arm by the neck and pulls you close to him, and he's just kind of like breathing like in your ear, and he's got like his like boot knife or whatever, his side piece knife or whatever, pulled up to your neck, and he says, "What's your game? What's your business? Explain yourself."
"There's something very, very, very wrong with Iotho."
"What do you mean?"
"Edvard was plotting against him. There is something they have put inside of your master."
"Inside of him? What do you mean inside of him? You're talking nonsense."
"It's like a poison, but more like a living creature. It grows, and it's growing inside of him. I'm the only one who can get it out with my arcane arts. But there may be more around. Edvard and that conspirator were working together, and I slew them."
I think that's another Defy Danger charisma.
Okay. I got a 9.
He seems a little confused. He kind of like loosens up on you a little bit. He says, "Come with me." He basically wants you to go down back to the basement with him and kind of explain the situation and kind of convey everything that that's happened. And if you do that, he'll buy it. Okay.
Okay.
You kind of explain to him like what the whole circumstances were, and we don't have to do that on screen. You can just agree that you did that. So do you do that? Do you go down there and explain to him the whole situation?
Yes, I think that I will.
Okay,
Well,
he just needs a little bit of confirmation, like, because what you're describing is Crazyville, right? Like, but maybe if you show him the maggot, if you show all that stuff, you might be able to convince him, right?
Okay, so yeah, it's taking him down there and taking the time to do all of that. My other option would be to cast a spell on him so that he trusts me, but we'll play it safe. We'll show him the crazy maggots, because Domenico doesn't like having blades to his throat.
Fair enough. So we'll fast forward a little bit. You've explained the whole situation to him, the whole circumstance, and maybe even the need for like this to be handled like quietly and carefully, right? And not like alert the whole household or whatever.
Right, because clearly if the major domo is involved, more could be involved.
More people could be.
So
right.
It should just be me and him, and that should be it.
He says, "All right." He's like, we're going in. You do whatever you have to do. But if I get even one inkling, one tiny hint of suspicion that you're up to no good or that something crazy's going on, he's like, I'm sticking my sword right through your gullet.
But I need you to make sure no one comes and interrupts.
Go in.
I'm going in, but let no one in after me.
He's pushing you in. He closes the door and he drops the lock bar behind it. He's in the room with you and he's basically got his weapon drawn and says, do what you got to do. If you try anything funny, it's done. You're over. Iotho, meanwhile, he's rolled over onto his back at this point, and his mouth is all stretched out like it was. He appears to be asleep. His chest isn't heaving up and down like he's breathing. It's more like roiling and bulging in places.
Oh, I point to it. See? I told you. Look!
And he looks at Iotho's body, and his eyes go wide. You can see his eyes going wide in the moonlight. What is this? What horror is this? And because in fact you can see like large in various places all over Iotho's body, like the flesh like bulges and mounds, and it kind of roils and ripples as if many somethings are crawling around underneath there.
And that's when I'm going to try and push him on top of Iotho.
Okay, to what end? Just out of curiosity.
Either I'm thinking like the creature probably has more control of Iotho than Iotho has at this point, and probably won't be thrilled that this guard is trying to stop me. So it might do something.
Oh, I see. Defy danger strength, just to push him on there.
No, it's a fail.
Okay. Mark an XP. Describe your move. What do you try to do?
So, as he's distracted with the horror that is Iotho, I get behind him and give him a shove towards the bed.
So you try to push him into Iotho's body, right?
Right.
As you do that, maybe you do like a shoulder check into his back. He's almost like ready for it in a way, like he almost thought you might do that. And he spins around, like almost like using your body's momentum, and slams your body up against Iotho. So you're like laying on your back on top of Iotho. The guard, he gets like this big wide grin on his face. The guard kind of crawls up on top of you so that his mouth is inches from your face. And he says, "Accept your master, beast." And then his mouth stretches open in the way that you've seen happen lately. And you hear coming from his throat, as one of the little maggot creatures wriggles out and is inches away from your eyes. That's where we'll leave the story of Domenico Castafiel for now.
Awesome. That just leaves one final question. Who's really in control here?
That would be the Gauntlet. We have a website. It is www.gauntlet-rpg.com. On that website, you will find links to our community page, our G+ community, links to our various meetups, including Gauntlet Hangouts, as well as our other podcasts, Plus One Forward and the Gauntlet podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason.
Oh, thank you, David.
Thanks, listeners. That's our show. I think you totally can. When I went to go get water, I'm sitting on the ground and my leg was entirely asleep, and I have to I have to go up some stairs. So if you watch the recording, you may see me throwing my leg like a peg leg.